You're listening to The Daily Show.
The Daily Show?
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
On Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
With Russ Kane.
That, by Jiminy Crickets, would be me. Hi, everybody. Fat Scotty straight in. Straight on there, off the touch, looking very, very fast on the rails. That's Fat Scotty in the colours of the King. Greetings and salutations, one and all. Happy Monday, says Fat Scotty, and Wolverhampton being pushed now by Neil Long. Neil Long being in the colours of Duke of Westminster. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Russ Kane. This is The Daily Show. Welcome to Men's Radio Station. You know him. You love him. He's the king of New Malden. It's only Neil Long.
How you doing?
I'm all right, fella. How are you? How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm just making some banners for later in the show.
That's very good. Why are you wearing dark glasses? Are the Inland Revenue after you, or what's the deal there?
No, what it is, I've run out of reading glasses, and these are the only ones I've got, but they happen to be like sunglasses as well.
Have you broken all your reading glasses?
I break them all. I roll over on them, and then I sit on them, and then I do that thing and see if they're on my head. Morning, Ken. How are you?
No. Scott Lyons up in Wolverhampton, we've richly delved into this vein of glasses and spectacles. And that is because, quite frankly, he's just explained. Yes, I think he has. Yes, indeed, he has explained. Right, what do we got here? Elizabeth Green, it's been a minute. I don't know what that means. Hello, Elizabeth. I don't know if you're in New York or I don't know where you are. Julie Voice, formerly of Houston, now of Guildford. Hi, chaps. Hope all is well with you. Well, my dog's better, and that is the main thing.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, that's the most important thing.
That is right. I posted that my dog wasn't well. I had like hundreds and hundreds. I could say I was ill. No one would give a good goddamn. But I say my dog's ill. Boom. Boom, goes crazy. Now, what have we got here? Robert Van Buren. Hello, Russ and Neil. Hello to you. Good news about Ebony. Oh, this is all a bit chatty. Good news about thank you, Liz Saul. Yes, you must be joking. Good afternoon, folks. Hope we might get some sunshine in the UK. Not at the moment. It has been pouring all day. No, we're not talking about radio, Jackie. Thank you very much. You can do that another time. You can contact Neil off air.
Who said Radio Jackie?
Scott Lyons up in Wolverhampton.
Oh, right, you can private message me about that, dude, if you like.
You can message him personally. Luke Newman. I'm currently. Would you like to read this, or are you busy?
I will. I'm currently working my backside off on 2 jobs. This last couple of weeks, I've suffered with a little burnout. Yeah, I've had burnout. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But I took to the beach for a dance orchestra weekend, and yes, I had a few drinks. I'll tell you what I did on Saturday in a minute, but I had a few moments next to the shore to reflect. It's important to. Now I feel so much better after a long weekend. Absolutely. The more energy we put out, the more we need to balance it with downtime. I actually was very sensible last night. I did not go out partying last night. I actually went for a little catch up with a friend and then went to bed very early last night.
It's almost like you're in your 50s.
Well, I refuse to believe it.
I'm a
yes.
little... Yeah, I don't... You want to swap? Now, those of you might remember Julie Voice had to have... This is what does your mental health in. A hearing test. How did they decide they were going to do the hearing test? Do you remember this story, Neil? They were going to do it on the phone. They were going to do the hearing test on the phone. Okay. All right. Now she's got an optician's. She's got to go to the optician's today. So we'll go with Julie Voice. And he goes, just off the optician, actual face-to-face appointment, not on the telephone. I think they should do it on the phone. Here's 1 or 2.
I think so.
Here's 1 or 2. Is that clearer? Or it's mostly the same. Let's try this. 1. Oh, that's better. I can see now. I dread those. You know the part of the test I dread? Because it's like a kind of going into the arcade in Margate where they test your peripheral vision. You know that one? And you sit in the sort of hooded thing, and you got to press the buzzer when you see the little flashing lights. Freaks me out. I get into a panic. About it. Then I have to calm down. Then I know I can do it. Don't like it. Luke Newman, very important what you just said about burnout. You went to the beach for a dance orchestra weekend. You chilled out. I find that my working life is very, very, very intense, like crazy intense. And then I'm wrecked. I'm wrecked like the next day. And then I have to regroup. And then off we go again. Look at this. This is what is going on with the world. Look at this. You see, I make fun of it, but it's true. Scott Lyons, I refuse to call him Fat Scotty because he's not that fat. Well, I had my look at this. Neil, read this out. This is bonkers.
It could be fat, spelt P-H-A-T, which means cool.
I don't know.
Yeah. I had my physio consultation by phone earlier this year. Seriously, I can't wait to have my prostate checked again.
Yeah,
Where did they tell you to put the phone?
Mr. Lyons, if you could just bend over the keyboard while we zoom in.
I recently had my prostate checked. It's a bit intimate. I felt like asking the guy for dinner and movie.
Well, after my extra hot, oh, for God's sake, Graham.
Graham.
Stop it.
Graham, you with your bad jokes. Liz, I had to patiently explain to a GP receptionist that whilst I appreciate safety precautions post-COVID, a smear test really needs to be in person. Oh, come on. It doesn't have to be in person. They've just got very long instruments now.
Oh, Jesus.
They're a couple of miles long. Just go around corners.
It's
Keep still.
completely mad. It's completely. How can this possibly?
This is a bonkers, crazy world we live in.
But I think, and this is something that I believed, and I know people get a little bit hot under the collar with this, but I believe that the COVID was a fantastic excuse to just give us rubbish service and blame it on everything else. I mean, how long are we going to keep this excuse going? How long? It's a serious question because GPs have never come. They don't want to see you. They don't. They don't want to see you. They can get rid of you.
Part of me believes you, and part of me thinks it's maybe they're just so busy. I don't know, but it does seem to take a long while to get back to normal. Most certainly,
It's taking forever.
Do you know what this is? Bloody parking ticket, right?
Why?
Now,
What'd you got that for?
I went over to pick my daughter up, and
Okay.
I parked. Yes, very
she's
briefly
You didn't
on the
want to
double
come
yellow
again.
lines.
Yeah.
Right, and messaged to say I'm here. Very short time later, noticed a man on the little motorbike behind me. And I got out of the car. I said, "You're not giving me a ticket, are you?" He went, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realise there was someone in the car." I said, "Well, I'm just waiting for my daughter. I'll move if you like." And he went, No, that's fine. Didn't realise there was someone in the car." And he went off. And then this.
The swines.
And I smiled and wished him well. Well.
Mug. You mug. How much is it for?
60 quid. I'm going to contest it. I'm going to say the nice man said it was all right.
And then they'll
What's
say
the similarity?
Then they'll say, yes, it's going to be rude. But then they'll
What's
say,
the similarity between a traffic warden and a stalk? The answer is they can both stick their bills up their...
So Neil's in a good mood then. Right, let's dash across to America. It's a bloody cheat. Good day from Cambridge, Massachusetts. That's like a dental appointment, Massachusetts. Fat Scotty, what have we got here? Then we're going to get into the other thing. Breaking news. Oh, no, he died. Yes.
Oh,
good.
no.
That's sad. He was a very talented man. 9 years after his cancer. Well, 9 years. What can I say?
Yes, he was very respected, wasn't he?
He was respected.
Sad news.
Yes, that's not good. That's not good.
And we lost Tony Bennett and Vince Hill as well.
I'm going to come back to the Vince Hill thing in a second. People are going to think I'm awful. But Elizabeth Green, here in New York, apparently, I'm too old to even have a smear test.
Well, that's all right. Come here. We're doing remotely here now.
Oh, well, we could do it by, you could do it on Zoom. We could do it on Wednesday. It could be the new feature. Smear test of the week on Men's Radio Station.
I can't believe you just said that.
I'll have a shave first.
Oh God, no,
stop it.
really?
I hope to God you didn't hear what I just heard in my earphones.
So do I.
Disgusting. What a dreadful. What is this? Could the GP do a house? Could they smear test through the? This is getting. Could it do a smear test?
I am so sorry if you've just tuned
This
in.
is just a look at this. This is from Scott Lyons. And he goes, my doctor was talking about his anniversary dinner he was organising for his wife during my last prostate check. I felt like the other woman.
A little bit of jealousy there, Scotty, was it?
I think there was a.
Well, it is quite an intimate thing, to be honest with you.
It's not great. The one thing you don't want to hear during a prostate examination, in the middle of the prostate examination, is the door opening and the voice saying, "Hello, I'm the doctor. Can I help?" That would not be good. That would be a shock. All right. I'll bite. I know I shouldn't. I'll bite. Russ Kane, you should ask Neil about how long he spent in the Tesco car park. I'm not quite sure this has got to do with mental health, but okay, go on, I've bitten. Off you go.
It's got absolutely nothing to do with mental health. It's tittle-tattle. I can tell the story if you want, but it's not mental health related.
It sounds all right because it's rainy and it's horrible. It's meant to be July.
Well, I got a parking ticket for staying too long in the Tesco's car park because they got the ANPR and they said I'd stayed 5 hours. So I wrote back to them and said, nobody. I said, I'm a guy. Guys are like when they shop. Straight in, grab, straight out. Who in their right mind would stay 5 hours in the Tesco car park? I just didn't do it. And I didn't do it. Most likely what I've done is driven in, come out, and then driven in later to get something again and come out. And they missed the middle too. They just took the first in and the last out. But no, I did not. And I was excused from the ticket with an apology.
From Tesco's?
No, from, I can't even remember, the Horizon Parking, I think they're called. I can't remember.
Interesting thing, which you do need to know. Oh, God, this is from Francine Warner. One better. Whilst having a mammogram, the fire alarm went off and the nurse left me there.
God, no, that's just reminded me.
Holy God.
That's just reminded me. Someone I know went for an acupuncture treatment, right? Yeah. And the guy, he stuck all the needles in the right place, all the meridians and all that sort of thing. Her chi was flowing beautifully. Then he went out, turned the light down and left her for a bit and left her for some longer. Eventually, she gets up off the table and opens the door, and he's gone home, and it's only the cleaner left in the building. And she's got all these things stuck.
Oh my! What did she do?
She removed the needles herself and went home.
But some of them, I'm serious, you won't be able to reach.
What? Excuse me? I don't suppose you'd mind. Well, the cleaner was there.
What is she reenacting? Hellraiser. She's reenacting Pinhead.
Oh, God, yes, I remember that film.
I can watch that. It scared the hell out of me, that film.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I only saw clips of it. I wasn't. But she did look like the guy from Pinhead. That was it. Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Was it Pinhead? Probably like that. Ken Evans is saying this. It's mental health related. All this rubbish. It all impacts on our mental health by driving us all crazy. Yesterday, trying to watch ITV X. Is it ITV X? As it now is, right? And for some reason, only known to the gods of machinery, it decided not to let me sign it. So I thought, we are just part of the Matrix. I am Neo. I have just become Neo. Because you had to go up to the TV screen, take a photograph or scan the QR code, go to your phone or laptop, get another code, then they have to send you an email to. I thought, how do you got all of this for Midsummer Murders? And I got very confused because Kevin Whatley, who plays Lewis in both Lewis and, of course, the magnificent Inspector Morse, Kevin Whatley, the most charming man, he was in Midsummer Murders. My head was going to explode. It was confusing. If you're as stupid as I am, very difficult. Not easy. This all says this, and I hope she's not going to be smutty again. She's your friend. I don't know her. I don't know.
All this chortling helps my mental health no end. I have actually, if we haven't got a guest today, Because we've been talking fairly recently about, we were talking about a book by Sean Acor called The Happiness Advantage.
Oh, yes.
And that's basically scientific proof, and it is proven now, that being happy gives you an advantage in life. Happy leads to success rather than the other way around, which most people think it is. So it might beg the question, if people have been a bit down for a while, how do you get happy? So I've got 10 happiness hacks.
Oh, wow.
If you'd like me to do them on the show.
You know what? I absolutely would. We had a new feature on Friday, and this is really relevant, Neil.
Yeah.
We had a new feature. I've been discussing it for weeks and weeks and weeks. A chap called Jonathan Baz, who is a very accomplished and well-known theatre critic. And I was really arguing with myself. Should we, as well as having Chantal doing film and television on Friday, should we have a theatre every 2 weeks? Just to let what people know about. And I thought, yes, because I honestly believe that art, in all its form, theatre, film, music, whatever it might be, going to the National Portrait Gallery, going to the gallery, whatever, is good for your mental health. I've always thought, and I believe it. I
think if we could see the changes that happen in our body when we experience novelty or pleasure, dopamine related, or laughter, we would do an awful lot more of that. We would take time out to do it, but deliberately. I really do. We're still stuck in this kind of nose to the grindstone, and then I can finally relax. And on a day-to-day basis, nose to the grindstone, I'm knackered, I'll have a few drinks to relax or whatever, and then it just kind of exacerbates the problem a bit. And I'm not judging anyone for it. I've done it myself. It's very easily done.
Well, it's kind of me, really, that you're describing, but there we go.
But to have a kind of baseline of relaxation and be able to come from there, and the science now backs it up. It's not theory. This is not theory. We're talking proven science now, which is great. And it's, exciting times that we live in, that we can actually measure and document and replicate these things.
It's important. One more thing, and then we get on to your 10 happiness points, which Elizabeth Green in New York says, talk about things not working. 2:30 a.m. of the morning. Suddenly she's a Victorian novelist. 2:30 in the morning. I fly back to New York for some reason, probably because punctuation is everything. I was flying back to New York, full stop. For some reason, I woke up and then checked my emails. 2:30 in the morning. BA cancelled my flight, rebooked me for a day later via Chicago. Yeah, we are expected to be on call 24/7. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? And
it is.
BA would say to their client, BA would say to Liz Green, well, we emailed you.
Been having quite in-depth discussions on this weekly call I go to, because the guy there, he says the 3 R's: recuperation, rest, relaxation. And he's right. And there's no way round it. And I thought, okay, I'll put some time aside to deliberately do that. But he's saying almost make a whole lifestyle out of it, come from that chilled out place and allow things to unfold. It's a totally different paradigm, a totally different mindset to what most of us are used to. And most of the people on the call, including me, kind of on the call, yeah, that's great. And then kind of go back to that and then kind of flip between the two. But it does sound a lot better because it's a lot easier in the sense it's
not buying.
You don't buy it.
I'll give you for instance, for instance, all right. We are working like crazy behind the scenes. As soon as I finish this show, I've got an hour's Zoom call with the board of Soundmind Radio Group, which looks after men's radio, women's radio. Okay, if I just let the world come to me, and we didn't work like crazy behind the scenes to try and fulfill our mission and grow, and so that you can fulfill what you want to do, Neil, and all of us can, and grow the audience. How's that going to work? Magic.
But that's not what he's saying.
In my lap, is it?
But that's not what he's saying exactly. He's not saying sit there in the chair and visualize a whole complete mental health radio group and then boom, it'll just appear in front of you. That's not what he's saying. He's certainly not saying don't take action. He's talking about taking action and building momentum on things. He's just saying take the stress out of it, the struggle element out of it.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
Maybe we should get him on.
Well, if you can reach out and get him, I'd be very interested. You know, life
Yeah,
is
and it takes practice. It is a mindset shift, definitely, and I don't get
life
it
is
right
very
all the time.
stressful. Life is very stressful.
But
All the little things we were joking about, and all the gang around the world were joking about, that's stress. Stress doesn't have to be that you're in a lifeboat in the middle of the Atlantic thinking, I hope I get picked up by a plane or a passing ship. Stress can be anything. And you get enough little stresses. Your stupid parking ticket, Elizabeth Green having her flight cancelled, Francine Warner having in the middle of a mammogram being left alone.
no,
And there's a
no, you're
fire
right.
alarm.
I mean,
That's
it
all
doesn't have to
stress.
be capital S stress. It could be small s, if you like
Yeah.
stress. And for me, when I had the burnout experience, it's basically death by 1,000 cuts. It was just one thing after another, and it's just
That's it.
little bit by little
That's
bit,
it.
little bit by little bit until there's nothing left. So I completely understand it. So I'm very open to a new paradigm, a new way of doing things. And interestingly, this guy does say that when he's not overly trying, things unfold and happen for him a lot more easily. It's almost as if it's going to sound a bit metaphysical, energy of struggle creates more struggle, but energy of ease creates more ease. I don't know if you believe that. I don't know if anyone believes that, but the whole vibe of what you're putting out is reflected back. So he would say, in response to your how do you do that struggle, he would say, where are you practicing a belief that says I need to struggle? They did an exercise the other day on money, and some beliefs came up about money. And I think I can share. I don't think it's particularly things like I have to earn. I'm not good enough. You have to make money. You have to have money to make money. I can't be trusted with money. Just the things like that came up, and they do some clearing work. And once
I got no problem with any of that.
And once those beliefs on any subject, this particular case it was money, are no longer holding you down, then the good analogy, it's like a cork being held below the water and it's being held under by these heavy beliefs, but remove the beliefs and the cork can naturally float to the surface. And we must have all had experiences where things just unfold beautifully. We're not lazy. We're not putting in action. We're going about our daily business, but things just unfold nicely. If you've ever been in a flow state, you'll know exactly what I mean, because it just all unfolds and it all comes to you, happens through you. You're a part of it. It's not like you're sitting there going, do it to me, universe. I'm going to be a passive. No, it's not that at all. Not for 1 minute. You're an active participant. There's just no stress or struggle in the process. And that's great.
It is interesting that when you're in the right frame of mind and you're not being weighed down with 1,000 stupid little things, you can think more clearly. And last week for me was quite extraordinary. You know, I've been planning some stuff since January. And I knew I would do it, but it had to be at the right time. I can't say what it is. Nothing to do with this. It's a completely different project I was thinking about since last January. And I finally was in, you'd say headspace. I don't know what really, the right frame of mind, I think is probably the term.
Whatever you want to call it.
But I wish we could define it. I'd like to give it some sort of heading, and you're better at that than I am. But it took me all those months, 6-7 months, to be in the right space, to then do it properly and do it in a relaxed way. I had to apply for something. It was a complicated process, interviews, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
It'll involve training, blah, blah, blah.
In the NLP world, they would call that being in a resourceful state. That's what they would call it. That's probably
being
the best
in a
word
resourceful state.
Resourceful state.
And then another idea came to me, something that I'd been working on a few years back. In fact, two things, and they suddenly came back, and I gave them new leases of life. And it suddenly occurred to me, why didn't I do that? And I could have thought about it ages ago. I don't think I was in the right place.
Well, things, if you're in one particular...
Bizarre. It was a bizarre week.
Well, if that could be explained maybe. If we're in one particular, shall we say, flavour of mindset, because we tend to see what we look for, reticular activation system and all that. Buy a red car, you see a red car everywhere, that kind of thing. That'll be the kind of, if you like, frequency and the things we will see. If you're in a higher space, you will see the world slightly differently. It's a question of perception. Stress is relative to you, the actual instance causing stress, your actual control over it. The more control I have, the less stressful it is for me. Perspective also helps me manage the stress level. Yes, you're talking about resilience there. And And what you're talking about there, Scotty, is this. I'll put it on the screen again. It's this.
Is it resilience? Is it resilience? Because
You
I don't
can
think
call
it
it
is.
that.
I don't think it is.
The only downside I've got for resilience is sometimes people think, yeah, make me resilient, throw a whole load more shit at me and see how much I can take.
Yeah.
Well, I've taken enough,
Hello.
That's resilience. But
Hello.
if that was
I don't
true,
know
then
if it
people wouldn't
is.
burn out.
I don't
Scotty,
know
what
if-
you're talking about is this, the ability to respond. If you've got a greater amount of choices and different mindsets that you can access on demand through practice, discipline, whatever, then you will have a greater smorgasbord to choose from and therefore greater ability to respond or response ability.
I'm not sure, Neil. I'm not sure it is quite that. I think is when all these things are coming at you, you kind of have a choice. And it's taken me years, if people know me well. I'm not the most patient of people. But you can choose these things that are going to drive me crazy and I'm going to get really annoyed about it and it's going to ruin my day. Or I don't care. I don't care. It's not going to bother me. I don't care. I'll sort it out. And there's that. No, I don't know if that's resilience or it's just an attitude of mind. Like, you're not going to drag me down. I'm not going to have a rotten day because of you. And it's not my problem. And there's the other thing. Why are we never allowed to say, Neil, you know what? It's not my problem.
Not your problem.
My problem.
No, this is actually something that I've become much more clear on in the last 3 years. So I've been sort of, rebuilding the mindset and all that sort of thing, is that certain things have nothing to do with me. And where before I would have got involved because I think I should, or rescue someone, or actually I'm not so much now, to do that for someone stops them learning sometimes the things they need for themselves and you become a bit of an enabler. Now, I'm not saying if someone was drowning, I wouldn't throw a rope to pull them to shore. But to continue the metaphor, I wouldn't jump in and drown with them because then we both go down. And there's no point in that. And also, I've noticed when I might have become I haven't mastered it 100% yet, but I'm about 90% there, that if I would get snappy with someone, I suddenly thought, wait a minute, that doesn't belong to them. That belongs to me. This is mine to deal with. And then,
what if they're really being difficult? I want to come back to the earlier point in the set. What if they're being really difficult or they're being rude? You are allowed to be snappy. You are allowed to just say, enough's enough.
In one instance, I just put boundaries in and stepped away from the situation and let that person work out their stuff because it was their stuff. It wasn't mine. And that's worked. Other people, if I find myself sniping at people, exactly, Neil says this, I call it other people's dramas. And these days I can't be asked that when the worst already happened to me.
Precisely so.
I don't particularly
I was in a situation last week. I won't go into any more details. And I thought, none of this has anything to do with me. It's not my business. I'm not involved. And I'm not going to absorb any of this, despite, in my opinion, the other person wanting me to. And I was very, very uncomfortable.
And some people enjoy dragging you into their dramas.
Why? Why?
I don't know.
I'm with Francine Warner. My mantra is it's their problem, not mine. That's right. It's your problem. And that's not being rude. If Neil said, let's take it to the extreme. God forbid you see somebody falls over in the street. Hello. You go over and help them. You don't walk past because then you're complete shit. Let's be honest. You go over and help them. Neil's taken to the extreme. You see someone drowning. You do your best, whatever that might be.
Yeah, but God forbid
somebody has an accident. You would go over. You'd try to help or something like that. But when someone's laying psychodrama on you, which has nothing to do with you because they thrive on psychodrama,
then that's up to them. There's plenty of people in the world, they can go and play out their dramas with them. I love drama, but I love it on stage. I love to act drama. I love that. I love to play the drama queen. I nearly played a bad guy in a pantomime, but I couldn't this year. Oh, yes, I did. But I couldn't because I'm going away. I'd love to play the Machiavellian magician, and explore, but that's just not real. Here's a really good quote, and I've adapted it slightly. You're of more value to the world in the joy of your dancing than the drudgery of your resentful service.
Explain that. Expand on that. What does that mean?
In other words, it's about the energy you're putting out into the world. So if you're
Oh,
putting
yeah.
out
Yeah.
an easy,
Yeah.
joyful, happy energy, number one, that's infectious. Number two, you'll be more successful because we've discussed that happiness leads to success, and that is much more likely to, as one candle lights another. But if you're just doing something you don't want to do because you should, ought to, or must do it, then you're of more value doing anything out of joy than you are out of resentment, even if
Totally.
even if it's a noble thing. I'm more value to the world in the joy of, shall we say, doing this than I don't know, rescuing underprivileged kids or something. I don't feel drawn to that. There's some people that are brilliant at that. That's not me. This is what I'm good at. This is what brings me joy. I'm greater value to the world by doing this than doing things I don't want to do. And there's plenty of other people, we're all different, who would have no value in doing this whatsoever, but have other forms of service which are equally as good.
Can we just say one thing? Because we live in such a bonkers world. It's not a crime not to want to do everything.
No.
It's not a crime. You are entitled. You're not entitled, really, to be selfish and horrible and self-centered and egomaniac and a narcissist. That's a whole different ball of wax. But you are entitled, as Neil's just said, if you don't, it's an extreme example, if you don't think you could help underprivileged children in a third world country, maybe you can't. Maybe you're more used doing something close to home. I don't know. It's not a perfect world. No one has all the answers.
That quote stuck with me. I've adapted it slightly, but it was along the lines when I originally read it. You're of more value in the joy of your cross stitch. I don't do cross stitch, than you are in the drudgery of something that the world would consider should do or noble. And interestingly, Elizabeth, guru, I don't know if you knew this already, it's a Sanskrit word. It literally means dispeller of darkness, from gu, meaning darkness, and ru, meaning that which dispels. Now, interestingly, as we're talking about this subject and we're going, you don't have to do all that. You can focus on what you're good at. If you're listening to this and it's landing with you, maybe you're starting to feel a sense of relief. And doesn't that feel lighter? And I mean, light,
God,
right? And I mean light on both levels. Now, think about it. You were asking earlier about struggle. If you and me and everyone took the rest of our day with this lightness of being, yeah. Do you see what I mean?
I get it. I get exactly. You wake up in the morning, please God. At my age, I never take it for granted. But you wake up in the morning and you got a choice. And it's taken me ages and years to not go, oh, I've got to do this. I go, oh, Christ, oh, bloody hell. No. I wake up and go, right, that's my list. That's what I know I've got to do. Everything else is a bonus. I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Right? That's got to be done. Fair enough. And I make a little list. And I've spoken about lists before. You've spoken about lists before. It sounds so stupidly simple, and it's great. Why is it great? And I will bang on about it just for a second. You make a list. One, it focuses your mind. Gives you a structure to the next couple of hours, maybe. Could be for the day. Doesn't matter. Could be for the next hour. Two, as you cross the items off, as you go through the list, it could be tiny, buy more dog food, phone Neil, email Ken Evan. Doesn't matter. It can be little things, can be huge things. As you cross them off, you get that dopamine hit, as Neil would say, because you've got a sense of satisfaction and you've got a sense of achievement, and it's a bit more structured.
Yes, and you've hit on two things there. Satisfaction in the present moment is very, very good. And the thing we were talking about before, that relief from that, maybe you were stressed when you tuned into this show, but we've talked about things that provide a sense of relief and ease. So it is possible to approach things with ease because we've just discussed it. We've just talked about it. We're possibly doing it now.
Kimmy Lashmar, television star Kimmy Lashmar.
Yeah, I'm blaming Bruce. Bruce, traitor. How dare you, Kimmy? I'm teasing. Don't you think it's an age thing to be happy saying no if you don't want to do it? I think the ability to say no.
One of my kids is exactly the same. Actually, no. What am I talking about? All of my kids are exactly the same. They never thought about it. I just thought it was one. If they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it. End of. End up.
But I think that's a great thing. I don't think you should have to
I didn't
wait
teach them.
until
I
you're.
don't think I wish I could say, and yes, Neil, I taught them that. No, I don't know where it's come from the atmosphere, but they
No,
are.
I've kind of banged on
like-
Ashley about being true to herself ever since she was born virtually. So I'm
Yeah.
glad she learned that lesson quite young. But if she wants to say no to me or anyone else, that's absolutely her prerogative. That's called free will. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And
She's more worried. No, Neil. Don't want to be rude. She's more worried if she's in your will.
You know what they say? Where there's a will, there's a relative.
Well,
Hey!
Every bloody time. Trust me at the moment. Now, Scott Lyons says this. I concentrate on the vital few. What will directly impact on me, my family, and my ability to live a life? Yeah, it's 2 sugars in mine. If it's not a critical function, I don't stress over it. Scotty, I agree with you. There's certain things, one of the things that drives me mad about the world, well, everything drives me mad about. One of the things is you're supposed to feel about everything. You're supposed to care about everything. Everything's supposed to get you annoyed. Everything's supposed to... Nothing. There's nothing.
This leads on very nicely.
I know, but let me finish this. If there's nothing you can do about the situation, nothing, forget it. What you going to do about it? Nothing. You can't change certain things. Nothing at all. Stupid example. I follow American politics very closely. I can't be bothered over here because it's so shit. But in America, I follow the politics. I'm interested in it. Can I do anything about it? Of course not. Am I going to influence an election? No. What's the point of me getting annoyed? What's the point? They're all revolting. We know that. As long as you start from that baseline, you can build. They're all terrible, horrible people. Yes, that's it. What do we got? Yes. No, I don't care. So what's Liz saying? You're a contribution to the world. Well, maybe just a bit of contribution to my household. If I can help a few other people, that's great. That's lovely, but I'm not setting out to change.
No. You are contributing by even opening up discussions such as these. Yeah. You and I and everyone in the discussion is being a major contributor. What if? Let's put it this way: people work. But let's say you took the easy path, which we talked about, and in that moment of ease, relaxation, alpha waves in the brain, if it was measured, I would wager, you had an insight that could, I don't know, change the life of thousands. Right? Yeah. You are of more value in the joy of your dancing than the drudgery of your resentful service. Now, putting in that context, doesn't that make a lot more sense now? An idea like that, doesn't it?
It does. Here's what I'm going to say, and I am not pouring cold water over this because I agree with it. If you are a miner.
A what?
A miner. Someone who goes underground and digs for coal.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm picking an extreme example. You're a miner, or you work in a widget factory. That's your job. You stand at I don't know if anybody does this anymore, God only knows. If you're standing at the assembly line day in, day out, and you've done it for 25 years, that's your job. Why are you doing it? You want a roof over your head, you've got to feed your family, pay your mortgage, pay your rent, go out to the supermarket, bless you, buy some food, all the rest of it. You've got to do it. And so these things would seem airy-fairy nonsense. I haven't got time for that. I've got to be 5,000 feet under the ground digging coal at the coalface. I get that. We at least are blessed and cursed at the same time that we have the luxury of a little time in our days to think and to contemplate. That's what we do. When you're full out, you don't have time for that. You're too busy doing your job.
It's been that way for many decades. These teachings are relatively new, but I think they're very important. And now the mindset of the world is changing, that we can understand and have these conversations, because the times you're talking about, people would have said, well, that's just the way it is.
Precisely. But it is. You're living in West Virginia. I don't know if you've ever been there. If you're in West Virginia and you see abject poverty there in the world's richest country, and you see how they live their lives, God almighty, they wouldn't give this 10 seconds of thought. They just wouldn't. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just a fact. We're lucky. We are. We're blessed
So you want
with
some happiness tips?
that. Yes, please, Neil.
Okay. So the book we're talking about today is Just Feel Good by Andrew Capp. And I'm just making sure I've spelt his name right.
Are you telling me we're doing a book about a bloke by a bloke called Andy Capp?
Oh yeah, Andy Capp. What cartoon was he?
He was Andy Capp, oddly enough,
Oh, yeah.
with his wife Florrie in the Daily Mirror. Years
Of
in,
course
years
he was.
out.
No, he was the character,
My
wasn't he?
mum and dad
I
used
spelled
to
his
get
name
that.
wrong. It's only got one P. But it follows on from our talk about the book Happiness Advantage by Sean Acol, which is a great book, and it's the scientific proof that in any field of endeavor, personal or relational or in the workplace, or you do better when you're happy. And that leads to success rather than the other way around. It won't be I'll be happy when I have the relationship. It's be happy and you'll have the relationship you want to, or be a lot
And
more
also, can I just jump in?
You may.
If you have a meeting or you have a phone call or you bump into the street or you have a coffee with someone who is just plain bloody miserable, God knows there's enough floating about. You come away and you go, oh, you feel heavy, you feel drained, you're not in a rush to see that person again. I'm not saying if something horrible's happened, if somebody's just lost a loved one, you're not expecting them to go, ha cha cha. Obviously, that would be ludicrous. But what I'm saying is, if it's their general demeanour,
it can be very draining. It can be very draining, and
do you want to do business with those people?
Well, no, because they probably won't be very successful because they're probably not very happy.
It's exhausting.
Exactly.
It could be
it's like crawling through treacle. It's like crawling through treacle. The energy flows a lot better through a happy filter. It just does.
The energy. The older I get, the more I believe. Surround yourself with people whose energy is good. It's not a nonsense. It's not some hippy dippy nonsense. It's true. Surround yourself with positive people, and your life becomes better incrementally. It could be in tiny little ways. It doesn't matter, but it becomes better. People are moaning. Jesus Christ, give it a rest. Give it a rest, will you?
So that's the book, Just Feel Good by Andrew Capp, and some tips. Now, we've talked about this before, but it just needs a bit of focus. Tip number one, happiness tip number one. Francine Warner, me. Yes, of course, Francine.
She's a very, very light. You meet Francine, she's a very happy, always happy person.
Good. Number one, gratitude blitz. We've heard this before. What are you grateful for? And it can be really, really simple things. It doesn't have to be big things. Remember the root of the word gratitude. It comes from gratis and grace. That is the root of it. In other words, it's free. It's a given. So it doesn't have to be expensive things. You could be grateful for the beautiful shape of the plant that I'm looking at now, a rubber plant. All students or former students should have one. Oh no, that was a yucca plant, wasn't it? But just sit down and actually write a blitz of what you're grateful for or what you appreciate. Appreciation. And think about this. There's a term in accounting called depreciation where something loses its value. And the corollary is also true. So what depreciates, but what you appreciate with your focus of attention appreciates and gets bigger. So that's worth pondering.
So that's already landed well in New York City. Yes, grateful. I woke up this morning, as Russ always mentions.
All right,
I never take it for granted. I don't take it for granted. Jesus.
So sit down and write what you're really grateful for. And it could be anything. It could be a good memory, your first kiss, nature, the creativity that flows through you, the food on the table, all that sort of thing. And if you go like that, that's obviously not it for you. What works for you, it's personal.
I was thinking of my first kiss.
Yeah, mine wasn't actually that great. It
was all right.
It was well, I think it was my grandmother that gave me my first kiss, and I've been traumatized ever since. Sorry. Come here, dear. No, I don't want to. Why? You got a granny moustache. No. Anyway, laughter's good as well. Seeing the small and simple. One of the best parts about feeling good, you don't have to wait for something huge to happen. Of course, you'll be ecstatic if you win the lottery, but you could be just as grateful for finding a penny on the street, something small. Again, just appreciate something small. Doesn't have to be a big thing. Lots of small things add up to big things. Think of compound interest. HT3, just one thing. Now, along the lines of this, sometimes if you focus on one thing rather than the first two have been like multitudinous, focus on this, focus on that, focus on that. This one, just one. Focus how delightful you are. There's two hunks of rippling stud muffin talking about mental health. That wasn't meant to be funny.
I heard that. I heard
Monday
that
and Wednesday.
derisive
Sorry, we all
laugh.
heard it. It was meant to be heard. Or one person that you're particularly grateful for. For me, this might sound a bit, but I love it when I see my daughter relaxed and enjoying herself, and she has a smile. She has a smile that melts me. I tell him it's the big, softest pile of mush. So, I think about that. I think, yeah, that really made a smile, and I'll try and do it more so I can focus on that. Just small things. 700 seconds.
No, I'm going to stop you there. Our family is the most important thing in the world. So I had lunch with one of the kids yesterday, and to see him looking so well and so happy and successful in his job and relationship and everything, that meant the world to me. That's not a small thing. That is it's not. Huge thing.
Yeah, it is.
Seeing your kids, in a vicious, nasty world, seeing your kids happy, well, doing well, being content, is a fantastic thing. That's not a small thing at all. Isn't that one of the great achievements of life?
Yes.
You think, well,
maybe it was a bad example.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Make it, but for me, it's small thing. I like enjoy a coffee, or I could. Well, it can be little things. Doesn't matter. It's not going to be the Porsche 911 Turbo S every day, is it?
You can enjoy that.
Look at this. Talking of small things, Michael Warner. I don't think you'd appreciate that, Fran. I don't think you thought that through. Right.
HT4, 700, happy tip 4, 700 seconds of sunlight. I've read this before. There's a guy, what's his name? Aubrey Marcus, I think his name is, and he wrote a book, and I can't remember it, but I'll look it up in a minute. I think it's called something like Seize the Day. And the first thing he says to do when you get out of bed is drink some squeezed lemon and some Himalayan salts, which replace the salts you lost overnight. Second thing, it's all right. It's okay. I've done it. And look at me.
Yeah, precisely.
Second thing is get out in the sun for 700 seconds.
I'm in London. It's been pouring where I am all day.
When you can, get out in the sun, 700 seconds of sunlight, 12 minutes, a little under 12 minutes. And those two things are absolutely super important. Happiness tip number 5. We'll just do 5 today, maybe. Earthly ease. Find an aspect of nature that you really enjoy. Some of us have heard of forest bathing, a white sandy beach, a field of flowers. Just get out and relax in nature for 5 or 10 or maybe even 30 minutes.
What does that do then? What does that do?
It's grounding, and it's very good for you. Being by water, you get the negative ions of the sea as well, or if you feel refreshed after a thunderstorm. Just the natural elements. And some of us, and this does sound a bit hippy-dippy, but some of us are much more drawn to other elements. Some people absolutely love the sun. Some love the water.
I got to say, Wolverhampton 1, New Malden 0, lemon juice. What is that? That must taste disgusting.
It's fine. I'd rather drink a gallon of water out the Thames. Well, as I can only reiterate, Scotty, look at me. Look at me, man.
Is it not? You know what I think it is? If you drink lemon juice and Himalayan salt in water first thing in the morning, you're thinking, the rest of my day is going to be better than this.
You could frame it that way if you wanted to.
Just a thought. Now, I like this from Liz Saul. It's a good thought. And my podcast partner, Mark Collin, on Walk the Talk, he uses this, a SAD lamp, a seasonal
affective disorder.
Affective, I couldn't think of the A. You could put a SAD lamp for the days when the sun is hiding to get yourself. Have you ever used them, everybody? Are they any good? SAD lamp.
Never have.
I've never used it. I've never.
A friend of mine used to have one.
Okay.
But he's a miserable bastard. That was a joke. That was a joke. That's not true. Here we go. Hot water with a little slice of lemon and a little salt on my hands. Similar thing. Makes me shudder, but good for you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Well, I'm here. I was waiting for this. I knew one of you would come on.
Or maybe tequila.
I'm with Julie on this.
It's Tequila Day.
No,
Julie, it's National Tequila Day today.
Every day is Tequila Day.
Julie, why did the Mexican throw his wife off the cliff?
One,
Tequila! Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Long with his comedy stylings there. Absolutely marvellous. Next time Neil's on, do go and see. The interesting thing is Neil's stand-up, which slayed me. He killed it that night. Killed it. Right? It's nothing like these ridiculous jokes. He can't do any of his stand-up on the show.
No, I can't.
No, he can't. Margarita's all right. Yes. Shouldn't really be doing this, should we? But kind of cheers you up a little bit. You don't sit there and get paralytic. You don't sit there and go crazy. You can have one and enjoy it. It's okay. As long as you can stop, that's fine. As long as you can stop.
Have I mentioned the Balmer's Peak before?
The what peak?
The Balmer's Peak.
Is that
People
like
say,
an ointment?
Oh, I enjoy a drink, and then I feel a bit guilty about it. Well, get this, Balmer's Peak, and this comes from the young scientific community. It's my daughters and our scientific peers that came up with this. Now, the Balmer's Peak is using a substance of choice, let's say alcohol, to improve your performance. And there's a peak, but anything after the peak, and it'll go down. So what you want, it's a bit like Elon Musk and his microdosing, if you believe in that. So, example, let's say you went out on a date and had 2 glasses of wine, you relax a little bit, and the date goes really, really well, and you have another one. That's the Balmer's Peak. That's of use of that substance.
Spell this first word.
Balmer.
Oh, Balmer. Balmer.
Yeah, Balmer's Peak.
Oh.
But anymore, it would be a detraction and it would go down. So the Balmer's Peak is what the young scientific community embraces as they have 1 or 2 drinks on campus.
Was that a Mr. or Miss Balmer?
I think it's a Mr. Balmer.
Mr. Balmer.
Oh, it's so funny when you see my daughter with her scientific peers. It's brilliant. I can tell where they got the Big Bang Theory from. It's like being in a room full of Sheldons. There was one, I was visiting her in Canada, and one has got this kind of plant thing, which he's, no, not Barman, silly.
I thought that. That's why I asked Neil to spell it. That's exactly what
he's got. This plant thing on the worktop, and they're discussing it. And you know that way Sheldon talks in the Big Bang Theory, that I know more than you? I'm intellectually superior and you are nothing. That kind of slightly supercilious way he talks. They talk to each other like that all the time. And I'm standing there going, this is priceless. This is absolutely priceless. My daughter didn't think it was very funny, but I did. I don't know what happened to the plant experiment.
The best thing is never think that your kids will find you funny.
Ashley has seen me do my stand-up, actually.
And?
She did find it funny. And? Yes, she liked it. Okay. But the really cool thing, Joe Thomas was on the bill, who's Simon in the In-Betweeners, because he does stand-up now. And she was absolutely intrigued. Michelle likes Obama's Peak. Oh.
Yay! There we go. Thank you very much. Waiting for that one there. Well, I don't know if we've changed the world, but we may have cheered it up a little bit. So everybody, what have we learned? Well, I think this is what we've learned. Thanks to Neil. It's a combination of things. You have a choice. Gratitude blitz. Let's see if I'm small and simple. Then we've got just next slide, please. Just one thing, which I need. I'm not sure I remember that. That I remember, the 700 seconds of sunlight.
Just one thing, rather than picking lots of things to be grateful for, you focus on just the one and give your focus to that for a while. Remember, what you put your focus on increases. What you appreciates.
Does it? 700 seconds. Oh, this is nice. Thank you for that. I'm going to put that up. Great show. Big thanks to all. Thank you, Julie Voice. Earthly ease. Hey, I like that. Do you know, it's funny you say this. No, I'm going to just say this. Earthly ease. I put up a little picture, which I just happened to come across. And it was the most adorable, apropos of absolutely nothing. I put it up on my Facebook page, which is usually a lot of fun. And it's just a picture of a little dormouse asleep in a flower. I put it up because it was just so cute. And I said, in a horrible world, sometimes you just need to remind yourself, here's a picture of a dormouse sleeping in a flower. boy, everyone went nuts there. Not because I'd done it, because it was just a beautiful, gentle picture that wasn't about politics, wasn't about race, religion, it wasn't about gender. It was just a little picture of an adorable little creature in a flower. And it kind of, I get what you're saying. It just kind of grounded everybody. It's a lovely thing. It is a lovely thing. It's lovely. It's important.
And what you appreciate. Because you can either put your focus on the cute little dormouse or the ills of the world. Which feels better?
Why, therefore, in the last few minutes of this show, are we constantly being stirred up?
Because we have a negativity bias. We have a negativity bias. It's wired into us because it comes, I believe, from evolutionary psychology, where previously, if you weren't in a group or tribe, or if you got ousted from that tribe, you died. Simple as that. You needed the tribe. Now it's different. So we've got that kind of alert for danger, alert for danger, alert for danger, which is useful sometimes, but not all the time. The danger alert nowadays, in modern day times, put it in modern day context, the hoodie jumps out at you and you either fight or flight. Yep, you need a burst of adrenaline and cortisol and the stress hormones there to get you in the right mindset, 100%. What we're not meant to do is fire that fight or flight system chronically, day in, day out, and even worse, not have anywhere to get rid of the chemicals that it's put in the body, which kind of sit there and it will become sluggish and becomes a bit mongy and a bit unpleasant. We're not meant to marinate in it. It's meant for short bursts only, but a lot of us are marinating because of a negativity bias. And these things are things where you can put your attention somewhere else and get relief from that.
Oh, look at this. This is we're not going to get a better comment this month.
Oh, Francine, you saucy little minx.
Well, she is a bit, really. Just seeing both your handsome faces brings me. She's going to the optician's Thursday. That's very, very sweet. It is interesting. It is. It's very true. Just there's a wonderful cartoon where it's. Oh, I wonder if I can say it. I'll just say it. It goes, those who believe the news, and there's a woman like that, and she's standing clearly under a shower, looking like that. And the lower half, it's two photographs. And it's the news. And what the shower is, because she can't see it because it's a guy behind the hedge, it's a guy having a wee. And it's true. If you believe them.
But do you remember when we were talking on the show previously about levels of perception, and a bit like going when you have higher perception or consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's like being at the top of the building. Had she been at the top of the building, she would have very clearly seen it was a man having a wee, but she couldn't see that on the first floor.
No, she couldn't. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, you're bathing in what you think is true or what you think is real. It's just pants. Most of it is just trash. Just trash. Plough your own furrow. And since I started to do that, I've been a lot. Explain.
Stay in your lane. If you are, don't be distracted. Plough your own furrow.
Oh, don't be distracted.
Pretty much what you said. Oh, I should do this. Oh no, they're doing that. I should do that. Oh no, they're succeeding at that. No, focus. That's
I guess maximize. God, I feel like I'm lecturing here, but maximize on what you're good at, and ditch the stuff you're not that good at. If you're not that good at it, you're never going to be that great at it. But if it's stuff that you love doing, you have the absolute. The world is there for you. If you're actually good at it and can turn it into a career or your hobby or just how you spend your time, fabulous. Fabulous. So much better. So much better. You're struggling. You know, often really, there's a difference between hard work and just putting your nose to the grind and having to get through stuff. That's hard work. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what it takes. And beating your head against the wall. Big difference. And if you think, you know what?
Because we've all seen the fly that gets trapped near the window and he's going against the window and he can't get out and he knackers himself and then he burns out. And all he had to do was look 3 inches above, and there's a perfectly big open space. It's kind of that.
Unless the Daily Telegraph's coming at him at a million miles an hour.
Well, there is that.
What is the last thing, by the way, and it's an important mental health point, what is the last thing that goes through a fly's mind when he hits your windscreen? His
arse.
Correct. We'll be back on Wednesday. Have a very good day, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for your lovely comments. And if you could stop raining for 5 minutes, that would be fantastic. Wednesday, 12 o'clock. See you then. Thanks, Neil.
See you then. We'll do the other 5 tips then as well. Good afternoon.
Bye.